Hi everybody, it's me, Mr. Santee, Rob McNelis, coming at you one more time, actually for the third time in this little segment here. But nonetheless, and with me is my buddy,
Big Bad Johnny Minto.
And we've got a lot to talk about this time, so we got to get right to it. Three big things coming up here. First of which is Phil's BBQ opening up
On Tuesday, that's what, the 30th?
starting at 10:30 a.m. 10:30 is the grand opening, ribbon cutting, all that fun stuff. You got to go over there. You got to check it out. I'm kind of excited about this just because it's a new restaurant in town. Anytime there's a new restaurant in town, I get kind of excited for another place for us to go.
The only thing bums me out about it.
What's that?
I got a meeting I might have to be at.
Oh, bummer for you.
I might have to not be feeling well and have to leave just to get down there.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Right.
I think there will be 400 or 500 of our closest friends that will be there at the same time. I'll give you a doctor's note.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Juan Too Many.
That's right.
We'll let you out, no problem.
All right.
The other
what else?
The other thing we got to talk about is the health fair coming on. Speaking of Phil's BBQ opening up next week, before you go to Phil's BBQ, you probably want to go to the health fair that's going on this Saturday at the Fresh and Easy parking lot, starting at...
it's going to be the 27th, and that's going to be at 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m.
Correct.
Lots of great businesses out there. It's a brand new organization that started up in Santee.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been forming over the last couple of months. And it's going to be really good. Go down there, you're going to hear from doctors and nutritionists and things of that nature about how we can be a little bit healthier in Santee.
Yeah, and actually what we can do every single day of the week to get a little bit healthier in Santee before we go to Phil's BBQ and go the opposite direction.
You know,
just saying.
You can't live by health food alone.
That is very, very true. And the last thing we want to talk about is probably pretty important to us, and
Proposition
that is
U.
Proposition U. You've seen some signs up around town, especially around town center.
That's correct.
Yes on Prop U. That's an initiative put forward by the city of Santee. And why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Okay, well, Proposition U has to do with the Transient Occupancy Tax, TOT, hotel tax, and they're in every town across America.
Absolutely.
The city of Santee, tell me what their tax is right now.
It was 6%.
6%.
6%, which is the lowest that there is in the county.
Yes.
And we're just trying to get up to the average, which is right at
10%. 10%.
I went to lunch today with a constituent, and he actually wanted to talk to me about this. And he said, "Well, why would we do this?" And I said, "Well, number one, yes, we're just trying to get to the average. But number two, I think you probably said it best. It's really just getting others to kind of pay their fair share. The people that are here for a very short period of time, that aren't spending their tax dollars here, that we're not getting any tax dollars for, but use our fire department on occasion. They use our sheriff's department. They use our roads.
That's right.
And we don't get anything in response from that. So this is a way to get a little bit of that back.
Well, Rob, let me tell you that a lot of people have said to me, John, there's not that many to come here. But let me tell you, Rob, when I tell people that the city of Santee has about 1 million visitors a year, they're like, that's not possible. We only have 54,000 residents. But the biggest draw to the city of Santee is Santee Lake. 650,000 visitors every single year. And of course, now that we have the Sportsplex USA open, they draw 350,000 people a year to visit in Santee. Now, of course, the other 50,000 are just general people coming to visit like you and me on vacation or something like that. But the idea is that when they come here, like you said, roads, other infrastructure needs, they use it. So why shouldn't they pay their fair share?
Yeah, and I wanted to make it very clear to him as to everybody else as well what that difference is. So if we're talking about a $60 stay at a hotel, you know, 10% would be $6. But it's already at 6%. So what we're really talking about is the difference between 6% and the 10%. So that 4%. So it's less than $2 a night. Difference, and it's only for the people that are staying in our hotels overnight. I mean, it's not for the people that the rest of the citizens of Santee that live here. It doesn't affect them. It's just for those overnight stays in our local hotels and at the lakes.
Rob, I was just vacationing, and I was in a small town, smaller than Santee, just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Which Pittsburgh, is a big town.
Yes, it is.
And that little town there, they had a 14% hotel tax.
14%.
So I really can't complain about if anybody, says 10% is too much. I'm like, well, when was the last time you went someplace and looked at how much your hotel bill was going to be based on the tax before you stayed there? People virtually just don't do it.
If you're staying in the town, you're maybe comparing other hotels within that town for their general fee. You're not looking at what that transient occupancy tax is, because it doesn't really matter. If you're staying in that town, you're staying in that town. It is what it is.
Right.
And if they wanted to go to elsewhere to some of the surrounding communities, they're already going to be paying that or more at all the surrounding communities that have hotels. So we're bringing it up to just be par with the rest of the county. In fact, less than par for a lot of the places in the county still, but just at par to be with the rest of the county. And it really makes a big difference to helping us fund some of the infrastructure issues that we face here in Santee.
Well, consider that we could generate another $200,000 to $300,000 a year in taxes for the general fund to go for those needs that we just talked about. And not only that, but we're looking at bringing other hotels here. And when we do that, it's just going to continue to make things better in Santee. It's thinking ahead and making sure that we take care of the issues today and not when they come up, and whether it's a year, 2 years, or 10 years from now. You have to stay on top of this, unlike some other cities where we see them scrambling at the last minute trying to make ends.
Pulling from their general fund to fund infrastructure issues that they had, that became an emergency. And you have to pay more money when it's an emergency rather than having it done in a proactive manner. And that's what I think we're really trying to accomplish here. And you actually just said something else that reminded me one more thing. You know, because we are trying to bring 2 more hotels into town, and I think it's very important that we establish this the new tax base at 10% now, prior to any new hotels coming into town. So we're not doing something so they can plan accordingly. So they can do their numbers and know exactly what that tax base is, and not waiting for them to come in and then springing on them after the fact. I think that's not fair, and that's not right. So and you and I, we've talked to a number of these hotels, and actually when we say at 6%, they kind of laugh at us.
Exactly.
You have nothing in town then? You guys don't have anything worth anybody being there for? And so when we've talked about it coming up to 10%, they're like, it's about time. So we haven't had any pushback from any of the hotels, but I just think it's more fair to have that up front rather than after the fact.
I agree. And that's why it's so important for us to talk about this now and get the word out for people to vote yes on Proposition U. And there's virtually no opposition out there.
Correct.
There's only one organization that's close to that, and that's because they are opposed to every tax that there is. Now, this is a good tax, though, because it's the visitors that pay for it. And if you're a resident here in Santee, you won't have to pay for it at all.
Right. We've got support from the Firefighters Association, support from the Chamber of Commerce.
That's a big one.
We had support from the SMOAC, the seniors, the seniors community.
Well, let me address that, because people might say, well, why would the seniors that live in mobile home parks be interested? Well, you know what? They have a lot of family that wants to come here.
Absolutely.
And so they don't want them to pay too much.
Right.
But you know what? They also understand that they live here and they need to have their needs met. So the 10% that we're talking about is what is really acceptable to everybody that we talk to.
Yeah. So I think that kind of covers it all.
That's right. So
until next time,
that's what's going on in Santee.com.